Check 1 2, check 1 2, check 1 2. Miami on the Rocks. Casey Chops. Make sure you follow us on Instagram at MIA on the Rocks. Follow us on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button. Today's a special episode. Long overdue. Got the homie CRESPO in here.
Way
What's up,
too
my
long.
brother?
What's up, brother?
You
good
good?
to see you. Man, I'm so excited to be here. It's been too long.
Yeah, it's
This is
been
overdue.
we got DJ CRESPO in here, and for the people that don't know, staple in definitely top 5, top 10 Miami DJs in the city, and he's taking it nationally. So he's DJing outside of the city, all over the country. He's been all over the world doing this, man. Bro, let's touch real quick on your story for the people that don't know.
Yeah.
Let's go back to you.
Yeah. We'll be quick. I fell in love with DJing very young. My dad collected a bunch of records from Otis Redding to the Bee Gees. So I had such an eclectic upbringing. My dad's Filipino, mom Puerto Rican. Grew up in Chicago and moved to Miami when I was 5. So I had that like Latin flavor in me, but also was influenced by a lot of house music. I would hear like Strike It Up and these old like 90s dance records when I was young. So I love this mashup of music that I was raised on. When I got to Miami, decided to start collecting records, and then went to college at FSU. And when that happened, I met a DJ up there, and I just was amazed by everything he was doing. I think it was 16 or 17 at the time. And I was watching him mix 3-6 Mafia, Stay Fly with Akon, I Gotta Stay, Right Now, all these amazing mashups. And I was like, man, the way this guy is talking to people through music is beautiful. And I was like, I'm going to do this. So I bought a pair of CD players. And after that, it was history. I worked my way up from college, playing parties for free, to meeting my first agent who actually lived in Miami. And she brought me down here. And
yeah, that's when I heard, bro, because we've been doing this work. I'm 15 years deep. You got to be around the same,
I'm about
right?
15 years,
Yeah. And when I first heard of you, it was back when we were in college. You were like the Tallahassee guy, rocking all the Tallahassee parties.
Yeah.
That's when I heard of you,
Yeah.
So then you make your way from Tallahassee to Miami.
Yeah, because of those UM-FSU rivalries, everybody from Miami would come up to Tallahassee, and the right people were at the right parties, and they'd hear me DJ, and they're like, yo, this kid's got potential. And it was a beautiful transition from meeting my manager at the time, Olivia. She lived in Miami. She's like, let's get you down to Miami to play a little bit. My first gig here was at the Florida Room. Before that, I pretended to DJ a little bit at Nocturnal. I promoted more than anything.
Bro, that was my first gig ever.
Me
Nocturnal, dog. That's crazy. They knocked that down. I think that's going to be the 11 residency now, right?
Yeah. And honestly, like that place was so beautiful because like house music was really thriving in time. Robbie Rivera, like it was still underground, but it really showed me this culture in Miami. And I was like, I got to get down here and be a part of this culture of Latin and house and hip hop all mixed together. Where in Tallahassee, it was like that college crowd. So it was very EDM driven, Steve Aoki, Wiz Khalifa. But down here is a little bit more mature.
That Wiz Khalifa era, bro. That 08 Cushion Orange Juice, like that was like my college era, like soundtrack, bro.
Mac Miller,
yeah.
All these Cushion OJ was my like soundtrack for so long. Even fucking who was big during the time? Sammy Adams, like these.
Yeah, damn, bro.
People were just jamming to like college stuff. So when I came down to Miami and played my first gig, this was not Nocturnal. This was Florida Room, which was the Delano. I kind of bombed. It was tough. And I bombed a few other times. I played Arcadia.
Oh, wow.
The spots. And I came in with this.
And those were open format?
Open format. But I came in a little too collegey. So it took me a while. Miami kind of trained me more than any other.
What do you, for the younger DJs listening, what do you consider collegey? How can you break that down a little more?
I was very much like electro EDM, like Steve Aoki, Pursuit of Happiness, which still
like
works.
big room,
big room, bah, bah, bah. And I was an opener. So for me to come in banging big room and not having a Latin, I'm Latin, but Latin music wasn't very big in college. So I didn't have that Latin background of a good knowledge of the library of music. So I kind of tanked a lot first. And it was a huge like check to me as a DJ, my ego, but also like how to get better. So being fed to the wolves here was the ultimate training grounds, I think, for sure.
I think Miami is like the ultimate training ground city, bro, because to DJ here, you have to know everything, bro, from Latin. Not only do you have to know Latin, but you got to know if this is a Colombian crowd or a Dominican crowd or a Cuban crowd. So then there's subgenres in Latin. Then you got to know reggae and island music because we have a lot of Jamaicans and Haitians and West Indians here. Then you got to know the EDM house music because that's big here. Then you got to know the Miami shit, you know, like it's crazy.
It's insane, and that's why I love hearing you DJ, bro, because like you know what crowds are in front of you, and you know how to cater to them, whether it's Colombian, and you speak Spanish too. I hear you on the mic. I'm like, oh, he speaks better Spanish than I do in a sense.
I had to, bro. I had to learn it, bro.
Yeah,
you
and
know,
that's a beautiful thing because you came into Miami and like your style. When I hear you, I'm like, oh, this is a DJ who I could trust in any room.
Yeah,
you know, which is a beautiful thing because it's very hard to find that nowadays.
But you know what's crazy is that I'll go out of town and I'll get nervous because I'm not used to DJing for white people. Like that's my shit. Like if I go to like a Kansas City or like even you know, like a super white town, I start to trip out because I'm like, damn, what do they want to hear? Like,
of course,
you know,
yeah. And that's definitely the paradox of like traveling and DJing is like your whole. You think it's like this whole different place, but you really, if you lean on your skill and your knowledge, you know what to do.
Yeah.
You know, it's always up here though, because we've been doing it for 15 years. Yeah. If I was 3 years in, I'd be super nervous.
Right.
But you have such a knowledge. We both have this knowledge of music and experience of catering to so many different crowds. It's like you could put me now on an island in maybe fucking Japan and I'd understand what to do for the most part. So yeah, from college, I transitioned down here, and after I got fed to the wolves, I really had to go back to the drawing board and be like, if I'm going to take this DJ shit serious, I have to be the best possible DJ I can. So I literally went out every night. I'd listen to everybody. I'd study. I'd be in the corner. No one knew I was a DJ. Shazam would be out, sometimes taking notes and really just watching. And I really started to try and be part of the community because I was like, I'm ready. You know, so I met DJ Conflict, who I owe so much of everything to. That man is an amazing contributor to DJ culture.
For us, bro, he's like, yo, he's like next to like the Miami DJ like dictionary. Like his name is right there, bro. Like
hands down. I have so much respect for him and the way he took me under his wing to teach me. I would fail and he would be like, here's what you did wrong. And he would be very blunt about it, and I respect that. Because most DJs don't have the time to even tell you what was wrong, what was right.
I said, yo, shout out to Conflict. I sent him a song like a week ago. I'm like, yo, give me your honest opinion. Would you play this in an open format room? He's like, no. I'm like, all right, bro, thank you. Like I need, like that's what I need though. Like, you know, like
true honesty.
Yeah.
He just wants the culture to really be pushed forward nonstop. And I respect people so much like that. What you do, especially with the podcast, knowledge. And I think knowledge is so important. So when I transitioned down here, him taking me under his wing to teach me things when he didn't have to at all.
Right.
Was such an amazing thing, and I owe so much of where I'm at to him because he really taught me the ropes of how to travel, you know, what I did wrong in a set, how to organize, and like for someone to really open their knowledge book to do that is invaluable.
Right.
You know, so yeah, that was a quick story, and now, you know, I've built
there's another, I mean, sorry to interrupt you, but like, and then I believe like another big part of your story comes from you traveling with Jaden, right?
Yeah.
That is like another like checkpoint for you that really took you to another level. I'm correct, right? Am I wrong in that?
Yeah, no, definitely. So everything started to really take off when I really locked in and studied music and practiced every day and went out to network and meet. And I started picking up cool residencies. I was residency at 11, Live, these cool spots. And it really started to put me on a platform of people noticing, which was awesome. I met Jaden through my manager at the time, David, who was a DJ in Orlando. And he was managing Jaden. He's like, yo, Jaden needs a DJ. This is Jaden Smith for everybody who doesn't know who we're talking about. And I was like, I'd love to try. I've never really DJ'd for an artist. So flew out to LA and we started rehearsing and we hit it off as friends and homies. And that was such a cool moment because Jaden is such a superstar in so many different facets, from fashion to philanthropy to music. And at the time he had just dropped Icon, which was blowing up. So it was really cool to be put on that platform with him. And then our first tour was with Fall Out Boy. And it was so interesting because the crowd definitely did not know Jaden's music.
Right.
But he had some rock transitions, and Icon was such a high energy song. So it was really cool for me to watch him perform and be part of that. I was literally running the whole show. 2 turntables. I was running Serato video.
Oh, wow.
So I would cut the record would transition and stuff. And everything was up to me, basically. The whole show was ran through me. So it was kind of hectic.
Yeah.
But really cool. I learned so much through Jaden and met so many huge artists, which is awesome.
And you traveled the world, right? Was that what took you around the world, or were you kind of?
So I was already traveling with Rich Group. I
Okay.
joined a DJ collective called Rich Group with Conflict on it, and they had started booking me at some other venues like Boston, New York. But when global stuff started happening, it was with Jaden.
Right.
Amsterdam, Berlin.
Yeah.
We went on tour with Thug and Cole for the KOD tour. That's when Thug got arrested
Oh wow.
with all those pills and
Damn.
yeah. But traveled the world with him, and that's how I made a lot of connections. Barcelona, Japan, all these, basically everywhere. And it was really cool because a lot of people saw Jaden and then they associated me with him.
Right.
And I was able to build that network and connect with people all over.
What I think is unique about your story as well is, you, correct me if I'm wrong, but like you said, you've had management kind of since not the beginning, but early on. What kind of advice would you give to up and coming DJs that should they seek out management? When do you think is the right time for them to seek out management? And just kind of elaborate on that faster.
Yeah. I think management and artists have to be a very like beneficial two-way street for each other. I think when I met Olivia, my first manager, she offered me a window into a new, I call them bubbles. We all have these bubbles. And if you can connect all your bubbles and make one bigger bubble, your career, your life becomes much more networked. And she was like, I can offer you a whole new world. And I was like, I want to be a part of that. I was like, this person wants to take a cut of what I'm making, but she can offer me the next step.
Right.
And she was very much in with the modeling agencies down here and the promoters. So I was always around these hot models and Mokai and Louis, these cool spots.
Around like the South Beach elegance, like the,
the
high
opulence
end,
back in the day. It's changed now. But the manager thing is very important if you see a benefit. And I think a lot of DJs think, okay, I got to get a manager because that'll bring the gigs. I looked at it more as a manager is going to help me open my network. Because I think gigs are like small thinking. I think if you can think of how much you can expand your network, then you get to bring the gigs in. The connections happen.
Right.
And so for me, it wasn't so much about what she would bring in. It was who she could introduce me to and put my name in front of important people.
Right.
So that's how I met Grutman and all these amazing club owners and people, Navin from Wall, because she was able to open her network to me and in turn build me as an artist. So I think for any DJ, if you want management, don't think of it so much as gigs, but how can this person help me build as an artist?
Right.
You know?
And you don't always have to go to the manager who is already established, because if you're not established, you can find another manager who is not established as well and build together.
Yes,
you know?
for sure. And I think the most important part is if you see value in what you two can offer and she sees a vision for you or he, that's the most important part. I think if you're going to join a roster and it's just about getting gigs, it's kind of short-term thinking in a sense, right? It's like, okay, well, this person's just supposed to get me gigs every week. It's like, no, how can we build you to be making 5 to 10K a night?
Right. And if you think that way, you're going to come off to people as kind of thirsty, you know, like if you're just I need gigs, you know, it's going to come off bad. Bro.
Yeah.
You know?
And I think that's the thing is it was never for me. And I hope, you know, this is a mindset people can accept. It never was about how many gigs I could get. It was how can I create the life I want and do things that make me happy and the gigs that make me happy. And now I think you and I were talking about earlier, and I'm sure
it's a good transition to
now I'm realizing like the gigs that I'm doing now, I still love DJing, but I want to transition into being an artist. And so now I'm looking for the next manager to take me to the step of creating music and getting my music into another network. So that's what I'm looking for in a manager now. So I've kind of just been freelancing for 3-4 years, handling everything myself. But I think as an open...
How do you like that? Like,
I love it because I'm the one handling the relationship. I've had some managers ruin relationships. I've had some blossom some. It's a little more hectic. And when you're dealing with like Vegas or big companies, they don't tend to love dealing with the artist. So I'm transitioning into that phase of finding like a serious agent or a manager that would help me handle all that.
Right. Okay. So now we could transition into, we're going to get to the school, but as far as just the DJ climate right now, we were talking before the mics turned on, and we were just talking about, you know, we've been, like you said, we've been doing this for 15 years. We've gone through so many different phases musically.
Yeah.
And I think we would both consider ourselves open format DJs for the most part.
For sure.
Sometimes we've been in eras where we're leaning a little more hip hop. Sometimes we're in eras where we lean more Latin. Sometimes we're in eras like 2012, 2014, we're leaning more EDM. Where do you conceptualize the music cycle now, and how do you see just being an open format DJ? Like,
I think we're in a tough spot right now.
Right.
As open format DJs.
I think all DJs are there because every DJ I talk to we're all in that same, it's like a trying to figure it out phase. Like,
yeah. I think people aren't drinking as much, right? Clubs are definitely down. I'm seeing it across the board, even in huge cities like Vegas, Chicago, New York. I mean, even in Miami, we have spots closing left and right. So I think things are changing. I think people are going out for experiences and they're more attaching themselves to artists. As much as I love open format DJing, and we are truly artists, I believe it, we only have so much to provide as artists, right?
Right. Like most of us are for the most part, and I say this loosely, but we're not, the average open format DJ is not like a ticket seller.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And so like if we were to go do a show, like let's say we announce on our Instagram next week, we're doing a coffee pop-up down the street. Some people would show up, but if a huge ticket seller, Dom Dalla, John Summit would do
Hugo,
it. Hugo, the place would be down the line, smashed, right? And so I think people are gravitating more towards experiences and artists, and we can play the greatest set in the world, but imagine if we had our music in it too.
Right.
So I'm seeing that transition, and I've been making music for a while, but I think I got caught in I call it the hamster wheel of open format, where like you're making amazing money, you're getting these amazing nights where people are feeding your ego and like, yo, you're the greatest. Here's a shot. Maybe it's women if that's what DJs want, or maybe it's just the owner being like, yo, this is awesome. And if you're constantly gigging, it's very hard to find time for creativity.
Damn, you hit the nail on the head, bro.
Imagine you add traveling into it.
Yeah,
a flight every weekend. 2 flights.
It's almost like, I think we both like the feeling of releasing that calendar, right? And it's bum, 25, 30 parties a month. But then, and you're making amazing money, but then you're only in that, and you don't have time to create or do a podcast or make music or do those things because you're DJing every day almost.
Exactly. Exactly.
And so it's like almost like you got to take a step back to take a step forward,
Big time. And it's a scary thing to do because we've already taken the biggest step forward of making this our careers. It's like, yo, we said no school, no this, no that. We're like, I'm going straight into DJing. And you've built a 15-year career out of it. And it's what you're used to and what you know. It's very easy to get stuck in that mindset of, okay, well, this is it. But when we're 50, it's not it.
Right. And I think, maybe you don't see it this way, but I see it as like a ship that's kind of sinking a little bit. And if I don't hop off the ship now and try to do something else for my brand, I'm going to be the guy like on the tip of the Titanic before it goes down. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. And that becomes stressful.
Yeah.
It becomes like you almost don't love it anymore. You do it as a robot or automatic. And that's not why we started.
Right.
And so for me, it's always been about what's next and how do you have that vision. So for me, and I'm sure this is what every DJ wants. It's like, I want the bigger, the better. It's natural human tendency. How do I get there is the hard part. And it really is taking that giant step back, because if you don't, it's very hard to pull that blindfold off and be like, oh shit, 15 years have gone by. I'm 50 now. And like, what's next?
Yeah.
So for me, it's always been, how do I push the envelope for what I love? How do I continuously be involved in music? It's what we love. And I think to offer your fans, your followers, music is the perfect thing. It's like, this is my art. This is what's in my heart. I'm presenting it to you. And as you grow with that and get better and producing and making music, it's almost like you build those fans, but also you're giving them a gift of music. It's free,
Right. So you started your school, for the people that don't know, because I'm always, you know, DJs that, you know, have 15-year careers, you know, we've been gigging and been consistent for a long time. It's hard to do that, by the way, to hit 15 years. I'm always curious to see how DJs branch off and do other things. Some DJs start podcasts, some DJs, do music, some DJs do different things, but you did something very creative. You started a DJ school.
Yeah.
Talk about that and how that came about.
Yeah. So during COVID, I lost my Vegas residencies, all these huge paying gigs. And like, I didn't panic. I was more like, okay, I think the universe and God is trying to tell me like, yo, what I give can be taken away in a heartbeat, in an instant. And it made me really think about the future and how I wanted to give back, but also how I wanted to possibly transition from DJing. Maybe take a break or only DJ the gigs I want. Maybe go fuck off for 2 months and make music on an island. And I was like, well, how could I do that, but also make sure I'm giving back to others? My mantra has always been like, whatever I do, whatever money I make, I want to make sure that I'm contributing back to whatever is provided the life that I've been given. So for me, it's like God's provided that, music has provided that, my family. And through music, so many people have helped me along that way. And I was like, how can I do what they did for others? And like Conflict being a perfect example, he opened his Rolodex, his music, everything to me, to teach me. He was a mentor. And mentorship was really what has 10x'd my life. I always call it 10xing. It's sped up my life in the quickest way possible. So right now I have a mentor who's teaching me he's a billionaire, and he's teaching me how he's made his empire, money. Like I'll come to him with any questions. And I was like, I should provide this for other people, and not do it in a way of I want to be rich. It's just like more of a passion project.
Right.
So we founded Wired Sound Academy during COVID, me and my best friend Landis. And it's been an amazing opportunity to teach people how to DJ and produce music. Graduated over 500 students now in the past 3 years. Some of these students are touring the world, have records on Spin-In, huge labels. And some of them are even just gigging frequently. And it's really cool. We partnered with some really cool DJ City, Rockwell Talent comes and does a panel with us. And it's just an awesome community. It's built this huge community. It's in Fort Lauderdale. We're looking to bring one down to Miami. And we just opened one in San Diego. And it's just been an awesome place to teach people how to make music. So if you're an open format DJ and you're like, what's the next step? I think you and I both agree. It's like having your own brand with music. So the school came about and it's been beautiful, man, just to show I don't really care about the money. It's more about like seeing how the most fulfilling thing I thought was playing a huge gig. Right. It's actually going to teach students and then seeing their like light bulb go off that we had go off. You know,
take me through, you get the idea to do a school. What, kind of steps do you take to get students to like, what is obviously you started this during COVID, so you had time to kind of really hash it out.
Yeah.
Take me through like the process,
This is the first business I've ever started from the ground up. So it was like very fresh. I designed the logo, built the website. Landis, my partner, I'm more the creative. He's more the business. So he developed pricing we both developed, he's a really good producer. I did the DJ curriculum. And then we're like, all right, so now what? And like, we need a space. So we found a cool space inside a food hall. And we're like, this is great. Huge collective where people could eat and come hang. And then the hard part was, how do we get students? And it was like, first couple months, we didn't have any. We were just really promoting it, building the brand. And I came up with this idea. I was like, yo, why don't we partner with venues to offer these students opportunities when they graduate? So now the model really works well is when you graduate, if you pass these certain markers.
How long is the course?
The beginner course is a month long and the advanced is 2 months long. So it's a 3-month process.
Okay.
And if you pass advance, you're already put into venues that I book and that we're partnered with. And then the beginners get to play opening slots at certain more chill, no high pressure lounges. But once we brought that model to the table and offered people real life experience after the knowledge, it kind of took off. And then we started leveraging our own brands. Like, hey, do you want to come learn how to produce with Landis, who is on Don Diablo's label? And all these kids from all over the country were like, fuck yeah, let's do it. And then I was like, well, I should leverage the DJ stuff. Like, hey, do you want to learn how I built my brand? Do you want to learn how to rock a room in Vegas? Do you want to learn how to DJ? And so we leveraged our brands, offered opportunity outside of just the knowledge, and it really took off from there. And we slowly have been learning how to build the business. It's still now, we're still learning how to hire employees and scale and go to different locations now.
Yeah. How do you conceptualize like teaching these kids like vinyl, or like how do you have them touch vinyl at all?
I have two sets. I have a set of techniques and a PMC-05 set up. It'll never move from the room. And you know, Landis is like, we gotta get this shit out of here. I'm like, no, this is my roots. This is their roots. And so I don't teach vinyl, but I let them mess around with it.
Yeah, I think it's good for them to touch it and know what it is at least.
You know, understand. Because when I am teaching beat matching, I put a blindfold on their eyes. Ooh. Yeah. And if not the blindfold, I put a piece of paper over the Serato screen.
Damn, they used to do that to me, bro. Yeah. Laz and Zog, they used to close my laptop and be like, mix now.
Yeah.
I'm like...
My goal definitely is with the school is not to build bad DJs. That's the number one thing. So I take the techniques Conflict taught me, my first mentor, RBK, and I want these kids to never know what the sync button's like, you know?
You know, how do you bro? I'm seeing now, like when I'll DJ at Sway or a couple other venues, and I'll see like these young kids opening, and a lot of them are not even really messing with Serato, bro. They're pulling up with sticks now.
I'm like, cool.
Yeah. How do you feel about like how do you have you done that before?
I've actually just started transitioning to sticks.
Oh wow.
It more for like gigs that I know I can rock like straight EDM or house.
Yeah, that's where it makes sense to me.
But also I've been practicing some open format gigs because I want to get super organized with the sticks. But I love it because it's like these kids are actually feeling the crowd and like not Serato faced, which I catch myself sometimes.
That's my problem, bro. As I grew up with, I started DJing the week Serato came out.
Oh, shit.
I started learning it. And it was like, and I'm watching like Zog, you know, use the Serato, and I'm like, and I used to like edit audio and make beats from high school, and I'm looking at the waveforms going, and I'm like, bro, you could just do this without the headphones, you know?
Yeah.
And I fell into that trap. Like I'll never forget, I did a DJ contest at Louis, and Conflict was actually the judge, and he told me like, bro, you're in your laptop too much, you know? Yeah. And so I admit that I had that problem for a long time. Like I've never DJed without a laptop ever.
Yeah.
You know,
I was pretty much same. I mean, I started on CDs. I tried vinyl for a little bit, and then Final Scratch came out. I was like, nah, this isn't there yet. And then Serato came. I was like, now it's time.
Yeah.
You know, and I haven't let go of it. I think my sets are better, and I love being able to have my arsenal of music, and then the internet if we need to download a request. But I do think it's cool. I love seeing this younger generation pull up with just sticks and do their thing. I've had some kids pull up with sticks and they have the ripped version of MP3, and that's where I'm like, all right.
Oh yeah.
Now we got to get a little.
Yeah. You can't. Can you see the?
It shows the waveform or the bit rate.
Oh,
like
it'll
192, and like you hear it crackling and shit.
Yeah, but it seems like as far as technology goes and DJ equipment goes, they're wanting to push us away from laptops, and they're wanting to have all-in-one controllers now. It seems that way.
Yeah. You know, for the ease of traveling, and then also for how many laptops I've had ruined from Champagne, I was like, let's try sticks. And like, I do play differently. I still will never say the best sets I play are on 2 vinyls with, you could do phase or the scratch tones, but I still play amazing on moving platters in my laptop. Yeah, you know.
Yeah,
the CDJs. The
feeling is there's nothing like it, bro.
Yeah, the CDJs are cool, but just you know how it feels to have that music moving with you. So.
Yeah. So as far as music goes now, the music cycle, you know, we lived through the we lived through the EDM bubble. Then the last like maybe 3 years, it was a heavy Latin bubble. Yeah. You know, now that kind of feels like it's going, like the reggaeton is kind of going away, and it kind of feels like the EDM bubble is coming back. Like, what are you seeing in your world as far as music goes?
It's interesting, man. I think I definitely am seeing underground house music become the main front, you know, like tech house and even Afro house, deep house. For me, I have trouble, like Afro house doesn't really bring energy to rooms for me. Right. Maybe if I'm on a beach, I'm just seeing music become very situational. now. It's like, all right, I save my Afro house bag for early in the night, or maybe if I'm playing a party in Tulum, and then my Latin stuff and my open format stuff still works in certain. I mean, will always work,
Right.
to be honest. But I love that like R&B is still coming back, and like people are just doing straight R&B parties, R&B and ribs.
Yeah.
So I think everything is becoming very situational, where it's like intentional is actually the
Which can be confusing for open format DJs, because it's
sure.
like what everyone's kind of like in their own bubble. I feel like when we grew up, radio kind of had everyone on the same page. Whatever was on the radio is everyone knew that was hot and that was what to play. But now that radio doesn't dictate what's hot, everyone's kind of like compartmentalized in their own little music bubble and their own little Spotify playlist, that there's not a lot of records that overlap to everyone. You know?
Yes, bro, that's a hot take, bro. A lot of people don't understand that, and like for us as open format DJs, it is very confusing, because it's like I don't even listen to radio. I didn't know about Chappell Roan until I heard a DJ playing it and girls singing it out loud.
Right.
You know, so now it really is so situational, intentional. People have their Spotify's become the radio,
Right.
And
Or
it's like an
TikTok,
algorithm.
really.
Yeah, it's an algorithm. So it's like whatever you like is being catered straight to you. So now our sets have to be so eclectic. I mean, bro, I'm running everything from these hard Euro house at like 140 to like Afrobeat, and then dropping down to like maybe a little bit of mumble rap at 60 to 70. And then maybe bouncing up to reggaeton or house, and it's everywhere.
everything, yeah.
It's everywhere, and I love it because that's what open format DJing is. But it's a lot harder for us now.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I really like the whole Afro. I'm really getting into the whole Afro house bag and getting into tech house. I've always had trouble conceptualizing those type of records in an open format setting, because those records are, when we play EDM, you know, we're kind of like, you know, build up, drop, get out of it. Next record.
Exactly.
Build up, drop, get out of it. Next record. Build up, drop, get out of it. But with those tech house records and those Afro records, they're arranged kind of like journeys.
Yeah.
And I sometimes feel it's difficult to put those in an open format, package those in an open format setting sometimes.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that? Like, is it?
I agree. You know, and then when I started taking the chances with them, I really could see like these younger kids are listening to it nonstop. Afro tech, the Clooney stuff, like Dom, even more like Matroda and Hugo, like all this stuff. And it's so interesting to see a reaction, because then it gives us as DJs that confidence to be like, oh, okay, I can start adjusting my sets a little bit. Because for me, EDM was always just about that big room, high energy, breakdown, drop. Now it's okay to let my dance floors breathe a little bit, which I'm cool with. It's like,
I always say that, bro. Like, if you could let the dance floor breathe, but people are at least singing, that's the same as dancing to me. Almost singing sometimes is better than dancing, because you have like a unison reaction to something, you know?
For sure. So yeah, I love seeing music transition into that space. It's much harder for us as DJs to play now, but I think it's part of the test.
Yeah.
And that's why we do stand the test of time.
Right.
This is the beautiful thing. 15 years of a career as a DJ is unheard of.
It's like 5 different music cycles, eras, like, you know?
We've seen it all.
Yeah.
So I have so much love and respect for my open format guys, because we do stand the test of time. And if you can really adjust your sets as you go and understand the music and not be afraid to play it, which is why we're DJs.
Yeah.
We definitely have that longevity in us.
Yeah. How do you feel about hip hop now? That's a tricky one.
Ooh, I have a hard time with it, man. It's tough. Anything like low BPM, it's just not very good.
Yeah.
Kendrick and Mustard, anything Mustard makes is for the club, so I love it.
Right. It's that West Coast. They're not touching anything below like 95 BPM. So they're on the West Coast. They're making music still that you could move to.
Right.
But yeah, you're correct. Like the Boss Man D-Lo records, like some of the Sexy Red records, they're low BPM, but they're energy at least, you know. But
yeah,
aside from that, bro, it's tough, man. And I told you before we started the podcast, like I don't really like playing parties that I got to play all hip hop right now, you know? I've even said, like, if I can't play Spanish at a party, I'm not really enjoying it like that,
yeah,
you know?
Yeah. And it's weird because Miami, the scene has either become extremely underground house or hip hop. and maybe some
Right.
Latin. There's always our good Latin parties. But like, what happened to when we were playing like fucking rock and all kinds of shit, and everybody was just jamming, having a good time. And I feel like it's kind of segmented, and maybe that's what Spotify's done. It's like, yo, this is what you like. This is what you're only gonna listen to,
Right.
You know. So I hope we're just in that trend and it comes back. But I think is what I was gonna ask you is like, I know we were talking and you were saying like you're trying to start a whole rebrand. I don't know if it's cool if we talk about this.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
What is your feeling behind it? What made you choose to rebrand? And
Okay, a lot goes into it. But number one, I found myself DJing at a place where I had to play hip hop and I was only doing it for the money because the money was really good and I wasn't having fun. I wasn't enjoying it. And I came to the realization where, I'm not enjoying hip hop. And I've always said that DJing is a balance between entertaining and educating. And I feel like when you can play in a house music setting, their ear is more open to being educated. They're more open to hearing things that are new. I feel like when I'm at hip hop parties, and maybe even Latin parties to an extent, the crowd wants to hear what is familiar to them.
Yep.
And for the most part, originals. But in the EDM side of it, I can be more creative and I can be in the more educational part of it. I don't have to worry about just playing familiar. I can kind of have fun in educating the people on then I can kind of be, let's face it, as producer, because I've always made music, it's easier to present music I've made if it's house music in my sets than it is if I make a hip hop song and play it at a hip hop party. People are like, what the hell is this?
Right.
Right. Then I guess you can combine the whole age thing. You can be 40, 45, 50 years old DJing in Ibiza playing house music and it doesn't look crazy. But, and this is just my opinion, I feel like once you hit that 40, 45, 50, if you're in hip hop clubs DJing, you're not getting that same respect, maybe. You're not getting that same admiration.
Yeah.
So yeah, for me, I've thought a lot about it. Even rebranding. When I think of people like, shout out to Mario Duran, I think of him being DJ Sucio and completely changing his name. And he's one of the only DJs I know that completely changed his name and it worked for him. I think about that. I think about my whole style and the way I present myself, changing that up, just because I'm getting, I'm 36.
Yeah.
I'm getting into that upper. I want to do more high class stuff. More, that's where I'm at.
Yeah,
with it,
and it's cool, man, because I think I just finished reading the Big Sean book called Go Higher, and if you listen to his story, and it sounds like your passion is pulling you to the next level, to the next step. It's really calling, and you're answering the door, which is so important because I think as DJs, especially for open format DJs or even as humans, there's always going to be moments that knock on that door. And what Sean says is like, if I hadn't answered this call, or if I didn't pick up this phone, or if I didn't take this risk, this whole Big Sean story doesn't happen. Right. And same for Casey Chops, same for Crespo. Right. If we don't figure out where the passion takes us and just keep that hamster wheel going, at some point it dies out.
Right. And that's where I have, my passion has been reignited like it was when I was like 22 years old. And that's how I know I'm doing something right. Even though, like we said, it might be a step back with the gigs, it might be some growing pains, but
yeah.
And then I think to myself too, being from Miami, we're exposed to so many different types of music that sometimes I feel like I was just a dude that grew up in Berlin and just listened to house music and just did that but I love all types of music. So I feel like there's only maybe Diplo that I could point to that can make a 70 BPM record, a 90 BPM record, a reggae record, a house record, and it's received,
yes.
Yeah. So sometimes I feel like, damn, maybe I need to stick to one thing, one niche and go with it,
Yeah.
Because us being open format DJs from Miami, we're exposed to so much different music that we get pulled in so many directions that it's
hard.
Yeah, to stick to a lane,
Right. It's almost like identity crisis.
That is exactly how I feel.
And if you watch Diplo's documentary with Major Lazer, did you see it?
No.
Called Give Me Future.
I gotta watch that.
It's amazing. But it talks a lot about Diplo's early on in his life and his career. And his goal was never to follow the trend or to be Hugel, to be John Summit. And I get a lot of students that come through school like, I want to be like John Summit. I want to be like Enima. I want to be in the Sphere. And I'm like, these guys did not get there by trying to be anyone other than what was in here. And I try to preach that to people, and it was preached to me. So if I reference Sean, this Big Sean book a lot, it's because it's fresh in my head. He was never trying to be part of good music. He was never trying to make I Don't Fuck With You. He was just listening to what felt right and opening those doors. And every time he answered the door, a new opportunity presented itself to go in that direction. But if we don't answer those doors, if we continuously think that this is what we want and not think about the future, how do you get to that space?
Exactly.
And it's super scary because imagine I'm right now I'm taking a lot less gigs. I'm taking a lot less money. I was so used to this lifestyle. And now I'm like, yo, I can't buy the watch that I want. I can't even go on that vacation. Sometimes I'm like, yo, I need to eat at Chipotle, not go eat Carbone or whatever it is. Right. And that is discipline. And I think if you can find discipline, you will find the next step. And like what you're doing, bro, is so beautiful. And so I commend you for it because it's scary. And then 10 years will go by and you never took the answer that door. And then what happens?
Right.
That's right.
That regret will hurt, bro.
Exactly. And like, I know for you as a DJ, I can tell how much you love it, but you want to play what you like too. That what DJ doesn't.
Yeah.
So it's like you start making your own music, game changer.
Yeah. Where are you at with it as far as your rollout into becoming an artist and the type of music that you gravitate towards?
So I really just decided the CRESPO brand was just, I love it. It's my last name. It's not anyone else, which I love about it because it can just evolve. So I'm not putting any pressure on the style. It's more like these last 2 records I put out. The newest one is streaming real well. It's like 350,000 streams. It just hit. And it was a cool label and it was a house record. And I just felt so good making it. And so the next song I'm making, this next song that's coming out, I just felt good making it too. And it's completely different. It's more of a string.
Yeah, so you weren't really thinking about like what genre to make or what to reference or what to...
No, I wasn't. When I was making music 3 years ago before my dad passed, I was just like not creative, not in a creative space. And I was like, let me just follow what this person did and like try and reference it and recreate it. And those records weren't sticking for me and I didn't love them. And now I'm just doing it because I love it. I found creativity in different ways through psychedelics like mushrooms and with my therapist.
Damn, that's the new weight, bro. I gotta get on. People, I'm afraid. Yo, I don't know if we want to take this left turn, CRESPO, but I don't, where you at with drinking?
It's tough. It's a constant struggle.
Yeah,
I took a break for a little bit. I've been drinking, but I've been doing more psychedelics lately.
People have been telling me that the whole microdosing has been a great substitution for drinking without any of the bad side effects.
Yeah. When my dad passed, it was super traumatic for me because he was my best friend and the way he died was terrible. So I started seeing a therapist and she specializes in psychedelic medicines, therapies. I know people are going to think that maybe mushrooms, LSD, MDMA, and ketamine are very hard drugs, but
in the right context, they're medicine.
In the right context, to me, they have changed my life for the ultimate best possible. I am who I am in this place because of the way they've helped reframe my hurt, loss, sadness, find creativity again, all this stuff. And what I tell people is we could spend every night drinking a bottle of tequila and I guarantee you it actually doesn't do anything for me. I have a great time in that moment. So I'll take that. I'll take that home with me. I love that. But the next day I wake up with anxiety, heartburn. I don't want to go to the gym, all this stuff. When I do a psychedelic, it opens my brain to thinking about things differently. I play my DJ sets differently. If I get in an argument with my mother or my girl, whoever it is, I think about it differently. It's like when you're so stuck in your everyday cycles, you become unconscious. So you solve problems by going this way. When you take psychedelics, it rewires your brain to be like, this wall is here, but why don't I just go around it and be peaceful and figure out the solution instead of like banging my head against the wall?
Damn, bro, I haven't done it yet, and I think it would be. I just have there's a fear there. I'm not gonna lie. There's like a fear that you know if I did do it, maybe I would start with microdosing. But I have so many friends that are close to me saying it changed their life. But yeah, I've also heard stories that, not personal stories, but just stories that are out there that it's ruined lives as well if it takes the wrong turn. So how do you conceptualize it? How did you? And then I'm into all these podcasts. Whether it's from Huberman to Joe Rogan to these guys that talk about it in the context of medicine and doing it with a guide. And can you talk about when you first started to experiment with it and what was it like in the settings? And
we spent like 6 months just talking. My therapist, we spent like 6 months talking and just about everything that was bothering me, everything that was hurtful, my dad, breakups, all kinds of shit that weighs on the human soul. And she's like, these are blockages that will keep you from being who you're supposed to be, which is a creative. You've chosen to be a creative. She's like, we need to figure out, I'm not so worried about you worrying about girls or anything. She's like, what scares me the most is that you're not in a creative space, because that's what truly makes you happy. She's like, we're going to get you there. So first 6 months, we start talking about all these traumas, all this stuff. She's like, I think I know exactly what you need. She's like, we're going to do it together first so you feel safe. Tiny microdose of mushrooms. I'm telling you, I barely felt anything.
Like in an office setting or like?
Yeah, in a therapy, in her office.
Okay.
And she's like, we're just going to take a microdose. It hit in about 30 minutes and she started asking me questions. Bro, I shit you not, I had all these new thoughts about death and all these things that I wanted to
just from a microdose.
Just from a microdose.
Okay.
And what it does is it makes you feel very uplifted, happy. I wasn't visually tripping. You get introspective.
I mean, is it any way comparable to like weed? Like, I mean,
weed definitely can give you some psychedelic properties where like, I'm sure you smoke and sometimes you're like, man, like I gotta change something. You reflect, what does Bob say? When you smoke the herb, it reveals you to yourself. I think psychedelics do that on a new level to where you can get rid of things that you don't want to hold anymore and create space to make music, to think about music differently, maybe approach your relationship differently. I think that's the beautiful thing, because as humans nowadays, we're programmed more than ever. I mean, this thing probably dings 50 times a day, probably more. And then we become unconscious. It's like we're just going through the motions. And I shit you not, I woke up 5 years into my life and I was like, I don't even know who I am, what I like, if I'm still enjoying DJing, if I'm still enjoying any of this music I'm making. I was like,
wait, this was after that experience with the psychedelic?
No, before.
Oh, okay.
Before.
Okay.
And then my dad passed and it was like this huge spiral down. I was like, how do I come out of this? And that's when I started doing therapy. And it's amazing what you can accomplish as a human when you are super aware of everything that's going on in your body and your brain. Right. And when you can get rid of them and create space. I think psychedelics, I call them medicines. There's different molecules, right? So MDMA is a heart opener. For me, it induces love. You're much more open to your partner, sharing feelings. Ketamine is more of like an ear and mind opener, so you can hear music differently. Mushrooms, to me, is like a problem solver. You got an issue or you want to maybe hear your record differently.
Tiny like psilocybin, because I've heard it's like, bro, like 5 years of therapy in like 5 hours.
Wait till you do ayahuasca. That's so
my boy did it. I ain't touching that one.
That and I don't.
You did that in the forest and shit.
Yeah, I don't mean to go too deep on it. Yeah.
Oh shit, bro.
Literally, bro. Yeah. And I don't mean to go too deep on the psychedelic stuff, but it is such an important thing, I think, for where we're going as a generation, as a humanity, because we all need to wake up a little bit. I think we're very much blinded by the goal of the Lambo and whatever your goals are. It's like especially as Americans, like it's like, yo, we gotta get this shit. Like
it's material based. It's like superficially based. Like
and I think the only way for us to evolve next is to get back to spirituality and being part of the earth. We are of the earth. Mushrooms are of the earth. The MDMA molecule is of the earth. Ketamine's not, certain, even acid, but if you open the brain, if you think of a huge artist, the Beatles, Jimi Hendrix, you listen to these John Mayer interviews, drugs, and I don't call them drugs, medicines have helped them open their minds to new spaces.
Because be clear, anything in excess could be a drug. You take too many Tylenol, that'll be your last Tylenol.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
there's the dose makes the you know.
Yeah. And then there's those drugs that can send you in the worst places possible. And I don't want to mention them, but like, I think anything that's like psychedelic will help your brain. You may have a bad trip, but I say the psychedelic or the medicine will always teach you what you need to know. That's what she tells me.
That's what people tell me is like, if you try to hold on and not look at that mirror that it's presenting to you, that's when the trip gets bad. That's what I've heard.
Exactly. It's like you're fighting what it's trying to tell you. And if you can learn that lesson, it's probably going to make you even better.
Right.
So with music, it's pushed me to new levels with my career, with just being a better human. Mm-hmm. So for me, it's been life-changing. And I didn't mean to harp on this too much, but
no, it's important, bro.
It does change. Even just meditating, sitting in the grass sometimes, like finding ways to find your center and who you are as an individual. And I sound like a yogi almost.
No, it's important, bro. You know what it is that our career is amongst chaos. So our peace is expensive. I always say that. My peace is expensive.
Wow, I love that.
So even for us, it's more important just to be still and just to be, I think about, I mean, I'll be transparent because, I think about hormonal issues like testosterone being low and like I'm around loud environments all the time. I sleep at 3 a.m. and wake up at 11 every day. I think about these things that are at the expense of doing what we love and at the expense of loving music. There's so many stresses that we have to put ourselves through, which is why cultivating peace is a necessity because,
Yeah. I love that you're a part of that and that you see that.
Yeah.
Because we're in a chaotic environment every day, 3-4 times a week. And if we're drinking and that, there's times
our body is not meant to be in that environment.
Most people go out once a week, max. Some maybe once a month. We are doing it every night. So it's almost like you have to treat it as, you have to find your peace through it. And I think the realest ones, that's why we've been able to do it for so long. We found love in it, but also we find health and we find ways to keep ourselves moving.
We haven't fallen off the edge, because it's so easy to fall off that edge, bro. What are some things that you've, aside from psychedelics, what are other routines and things that you lean into to keep yourself balanced?
Yeah, so some natural things that have really helped me, especially on the road all the time, meditation, literally just understanding my thoughts, being aware of who I am helps infinitely. Sometimes always moving the body. I try to be healthy, but if I can't, like I'm a foodie, I'm always eating on the road. So it's meditation, maybe sometimes writing down my thoughts if I'm really going through like something deeper or harder. And then the other part is I'm just always trying to learn. So I'll always have an audiobook on, or if I'm not doing an audiobook, watching a YouTube video on how to master a song, or I'll be studying greater people who have done it bigger or better than I. So sometimes I'll read or watch a Tiesto interview, just different things to see how people move and take that knowledge, because I think knowledge is so powerful and like we don't use it enough.
Yeah,
we're so busy watching other people's lives and shit.
Yo, you know what's crazy? You know what I find myself doing now, and the past week has probably been the most I've ever done it.
Yeah,
bro. My new best friend, my therapist, my music assistant engineer when I need mastering tips, my relationship advice,
I know what you're gonna say.
ChatGPT, bro. I mean, specifically, I use Grok. Like I use the one on Twitter. It's built into Twitter, Elon's joint.
Yeah,
but
this is my shit every day. I pull the app open. If I have a question, I ask it.
Bro, I ask it. Bro, it literally helped me mix my whole song, bro. Like literally. I'm asking what plugins I could use. Then I'm asking relationship advice. What I'm asking.
Right.
Bro, it helped me plan a whole new diet. I'm like, yo, I'm under eating protein. I need to get more fats, but I don't like cooking. How can I do this? Yo, do this. I'm like, bro.
I love it.
Shit is crazy.
It is the future, bro. I have it writing chords for me right now for a song. I have it writing lyrics for me. I think we also need to utilize AI as our tool. People are afraid of it. It's here to stay.
Yeah.
If you're not using it, you're falling behind.
Facts.
Even for content, I'm like, yo, what should my content be for this week? Here's what I did, or here's what's coming up. Whole content plan.
Bro, it's literally like any like I'm like, bro, I gotta get my song on Beatport. I don't in my mind. Then how do I do this? Boom, boom. It gives me the whole shit on how to do it, bro. It's literally, we're in unprecedented times right now. Like, there's no reason why you shouldn't be inquisitive and get those questions answered, because it's so easy to get shit answered now.
We spend so much of our day worrying about what other people do, and then it creates questions in our head, but we have no one to ask. And I know this sounds crazy, but I'll ask ChatGPT relationship stuff, career advice, how to scale my business, what I should do to eat better, how I can implement habits.
Bro, I get crazier with it, bro. I'll be like, where do hamsters run wild? Like, I never seen a hamster like in the wild, bro. You know, like, I'll be like, wild shit will come to my head, bro. And I'll be, bro, crazy.
You could be like, explain my life if I were a tree. And it would fucking, and that's crazy because that knowledge is now at our instant fingertips.
And it's only getting crazier, bro, quickly.
Yep. I had a moment, and not to get too far into it, but I was at Epcot, and I haven't been on the ball at Spaceship Earth. Mm-hmm. And I had a moment where my mind was completely blown, because it shows how we've evolved as humans, and knowledge back in the day and why we didn't progress so quickly was kept in one place. So the cavemen would write it on the wall. Mm-hmm. And the problem is civilizations couldn't get bigger because the knowledge would just stay on those walls. It couldn't transfer. And then when we learned how to write, and the printing press, and then newspapers, and now fucking the internet, and then ChatGPT, it's like knowledge is infinitely available.
Yeah.
If you're not using it and you're using your time to focus on what everybody else is doing, you're running the wrong race.
Yeah.
And I think that's the scariest part.
That's real.
Yeah.
That's a good way to end it right there.
Yeah, bro.
CRESPO, thank you for pulling up, bro. Let's do this again.
It's been an honor. We're going to make some music.
Yeah, let's do it, bro. Plug all your social media and anything you want to promote.
Y'all can follow me at CRESPO the DJ. Wired Sound Academy if you want to come learn how to produce or make music, sing, play guitar, or if you just want to learn how to build your brand. And make sure to come rock with me whenever you see me. I'd love to say hello to everybody, and I really appreciate you letting me be here, bro. This is one of the better podcasts.
Nothing but respect, bro.
Same.
Love.
Same.
Miami on the rocks, baby. Bow.
Peace.
KC Chops, boy.